So we're back with part 2 of this video series. And it's part 2 because there's so much to say. One video cannot capture everything. But I want this video specifically to be a reflection of what the last 24 hours or so have been like for us, or for me specifically. And also to give y'all some perspective. Literally almost to the day 4 years ago, we came to Waco. I want to paint the picture. We left our family. We left promising careers. We left grandparents and friends and comforts to be obedient to what we believed God was calling us to, and that was Waco and Baylor. After being recruited to come out here. And for 4 years, we have experienced systemic racism on every front. And now it's our time to talk. We're not doing this because it's fun. We're not doing this because we want to. We're doing this because we don't have a choice. And I think it's going to be also important for people to recognize that, well, specifically, right? Because a lot of the inboxes have been, how could y'all do this? What are y'all doing? We've gone rogue. How could you have spoken out or even maligned these pastors or this organization? And here's the truth. It's not about Antioch. It's not about Jimmy. It's not about Carl. It's not about Vince. It's not about the leadership. This process and us talking, it's not about y'all. It's about us and our journey of healing. And talking about this helps us heal. It helps us make sense of the last 4 years and everything that we gave up. It's not about,
But I think what's important to understand with what Gary just said is like, yeah, this is a means to healing. But what I don't want to be heard is that we don't care about anybody else and it's just about our healing. No, it's about speaking truth in spaces that are systemically silenced. And there have been countless people that have felt the same oppression and silence and have said things like, I wish I had the courage to speak up. I wish I had the courage to speak out.
Yes.
Because it's hard. It's not easy. Because ironically, and I'm going to talk about this when I do my Baylor series, you know, I worked in the Title IX office, and we're all very familiar with Title IX and its impact in this community, and the fallout of silencing victims. The reality is there's nothing fun about this process. It floors me how the assumption is always that the people that are speaking out want some type of attention, or there's ulterior motives for talking. There's nothing fun about this.
Nothing.
So what is the motivation to do this but for it being the right thing to do and steps toward healing? Because when you keep those things inside, you're tormented. It is tearing you up. It is it's a breakdown psychologically, emotionally, spiritually, all the time. And when you start processing out loud and you have an opportunity to tell your story, someone else isn't telling your story, people aren't guessing what your story is, assuming what your story is, you speak your truth. You speak it out.
Yep.
And no one else can do that but you.
And to your point, so that's the first thing is we talk because it's for us, but we also we're doing this series and making these videos and opening up so that it liberates others. Mm-hmm. I cannot stress how much this is not about an organization
or having a vendetta against any individual person.
It is about giving other people freedom and closure and a renewed sense of self and an opportunity to share their story. Mm-hmm. Because some people haven't had the bravery, they haven't had the space, they haven't had the green light go ahead because you don't speak out against Goliaths.
So I'm smirking.
Why are you smirking?
Because a word came to my mind that I want to talk about.
Okay.
Something that's come up often in the people that are not exactly enthusiastic about us talking is that this is divisive.
Divisive.
And what's interesting about that is, you know, it appears to you that it's divisive because it's so much better to pretend that things are good and not talk about the negative and bad things, the scabs, the scars, the dirt that is in the wounds. So when you rip off that Band-Aid and all the pus starts coming out, we're labeling it divisive. But the reality is there's a lot of junk under there that has to be exposed and talked about if we actually want to heal as individuals, as a church body, a body of Christ, mm-hmm. as a community, as a nation. It's a lot of pus in these wounds. Yes, I want you to get a visual because that's what it is. And people want to call it divisive when you start taking off Band-Aids and saying, I don't think this is actually... Did we clean this out?
No.
We did. Why are you trying to make something out? Put the Band-Aid back on it. It's fine. It's not fine. It's not fine. Because if it was, we wouldn't be getting messages after messages, DMs after DMs, text messages,
phone calls
saying,
thank you. We stand with you.
People aren't making this up. It's not, and this is the other thing that was really hard for me to get to this point of talking about this, specifically with Antioch, is because there are so many people and so many, like, in leadership, friendships, family, people that have loved us, have expressed love for us, have served us. Yeah. That's why this is hard. Because they're kind people. But that doesn't change what's under the Band-Aid. That doesn't change that.
Yep.
And just to go back to what he said, it's not about you.
It's not.
And it's hard to wrap your mind around that. Because
it's
this
so much
is so
bigger.
much bigger.
It's so much big. We're talking.
This is so much bigger than a lot of people realize.
We're talking about freedom,
liberation
for not only black people but other marginalized groups.
And the marginalized people stretch for days.
And we have yet to address this. And
sorry, Graham.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I had a thought the other day, I think people have been quick to throw scripture. Throw them verses.
And I could, but I haven't.
Well,
because there's not going to be any fruit from it.
Well, I do want to remind of this principle that came to my mind the other day. With spaces like, Antioch, with spaces like Baylor, it came to my mind because it was a student that posted at Baylor about stuff that's happening with black students. And
oh yeah,
he made a statement, basically saying like, yeah, all you guys hear is that Baylor was the best decision of our lives. This is the best thing that's ever happened. But for the marginalized, that's not our story and that's not our narrative. And it made me think of leaving the 99 for the one. That's what this is about. Yeah, the 99 are like, I can't believe you guys would do this. I can't believe you would say this. Things are great. Look around. Things are so good. But we try to tell you that the line of ones stretches for days. Wounded ones. They are wounded. And this ain't even saying like it's not, when we say it's not about y'all, we're also saying this not about us. Like, in a sense. This is not we're
talking about
have
God's
an axe
people.
to grind.
No.
This is, we're trying to tell you there are a lot of hurting people out here.
It's people's salvation.
There are souls at stake. There are souls at stake.
Yeah, I gotta say this.
Because this line of people, I know I'm not letting
you jump in. Go ahead.
This line of people is saying, I don't want to have anything to do with that Christianity.
Nope.
That's a problem.
I have a theory, and it's kind of free, so.
It's kind of free? What do you mean? I guess I'm going to find out. Go ahead.
The 99? The 99, and I'm talking specifically about Antioch, but this is across white evangelical churches. You won't leave that 99, which is why I'm still standing behind protest, is because if you go to that one, if Jimmy drew a line, if you drew a line and you actually, because you can't teeter this racism, you cannot straddle the fence. So my theory is, if you truly make a decision to combat racism and you say that from the pulpit, you lose that 99 and it's not worth it. Because with those 99, you have the heat that you would take and you have money that will be lost. So to actually take a stance on this and to drive it, you won't. You can't.
In theory.
In theory.
Yeah, you're saying in theory.
In theory.
And I don't think we would talk about this if we didn't believe that it was possible for leaders to decide to draw a line.
But it has to come from the top.
Yeah.
Is that a cause that churches are willing to make? I don't think so. I could be off. My theory could be
it's just not popular.
In left field.
It's not popular. It's hard and costly.
It's costly.
It's costly, and it's costly.
And I feel sorry.
And we can attest to that.
Yeah.
And we
Yep.
are, people that have been on the receiving end of racism a lot. And still speaking out against it or standing up against it is still costly. So I can't imagine, in theory, it's a lot more worth the cost for us, but when you start asking white people in leadership to make that hard stance and pay that high price, it's a big ask.
It's a big ask. Nothing short of a miracle.
It's a big ask.
So it's not about y'all. It's not about Antioch. It's not about Jimmy. It's not about Carl. This hurts. Vince is probably one of the closest friends that I've had and I've walked with this past 4 years, 3.5. So don't think this is fun. I don't think that we're not losing a lot by stepping out and doing this. But it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter because, let's say it, we are going to be on the right side of history. That's one. And two, I'm going to obey the prompting and leading at the cost, at whatever cost.
If that means a organization, a family that literally fed us.
Literally.
Spiritually, but literally when we did not have a dime. Because here's a funny thing. Have you guys heard of house Negroes?
You about to go there.
We were good house Negroes.
Oh, shit.
But we're not your Negroes. And just because we speak out and use our voice, one of the most powerful tools that God's given us, does not mean that we're bitter or crazy or out of line. And I'm sorry for the people, the families that have gone before us, the families that have gone there for 5 and 10 and 15 years who've had these conversations. There's no more behind closed door conversations. I am uninterested, for the record, of sitting down behind closed doors because we have tried. And just in case y'all think we haven't followed a biblical model, we've brought this conversation to leadership. We even, in our exit letter, said, if you would like to understand or have a conversation about why the ward laws, the ones that have been plastered across your screens and your bulletins and your 40 days of breakthrough, the ward laws, right? The house Negroes. Why we're leaving. If you would like to know
or understand more
or have a conversation, then we're open. But that was hit with, or the response was, we love you, God bless you, wish the best for you. So now we're collateral damage. So I have no intention and no desire to have closed door conversations. And we will continue to talk about our experience at Antioch. And it's not for me to decide if Antioch is racist or has racist tendencies or has a racist spirit or has a spirit of white supremacy. It's not on me. I'm just telling y'all our lived experience, something that no one can take away. And when we get to Baylor, Linda, it's not going to be personal with you. Cheryl Gotches, it's not going to be personal with you. Robin Driscoll, it's not going to be personal with you. It's going to be because the black students and brown students and marginalized groups that need to be liberated will feel that they have a license to push these organizations to change and actually change for the better and for the good.
And I think, they've gone beyond the check the boxes. I think that has been the qualm for many years, that, are people, are organizations doing this because they want to check a box? We had diversity night. We gave a shout out to that, black professor over there. Like, I think the perception that it's just check the box, I think we recognize that we've gone beyond that. But I think what we're pushing for and putting pressure to see happen is attacking this thing from the root. And that's the part that's painful and hurts, because it's so deeply rooted and interwoven in so much of what we do. And it's very easy, like, man, I'm going to make this statement, but I recognize that this is not unique to, like, Baylor. But, man, Baylor, Waco, y'all love y'all traditions. And traditions will hang you, especially when it's intertwined and rooted and grown with racism. I'm sure there's a better way to say that, but
no, it's clear.
Yeah, when are we going to get at the root? Because that's where it started.
Band-aids. Stop with the diversity task force.
Gotta get at the root.
You can't
get at the root until you understand what you're dealing with. So, anyways.
Still stand behind our protests. I still encourage those who are at these organizations, specifically Antioch, because we're talking about Antioch right now.
Sorry, I keep
talking about Antioch right now. Don't go to Baylor yet. Don't go to Baylor yet.
You did it first, though.
Did I? Okay, sorry. Oh, I did. If you're staying at Antioch, push the conversation. Push it. Don't tithe. Which Jimmy said this before. Tithe someplace else, right? So that's not a big thing, right? Jimmy's put that on stage before. Like that.
Yeah, can we emphasize that? I don't know why people getting hung up on that.
I don't know why.
He didn't say not.
I didn't say not to tithe at all.
He said on time.
I didn't say that. Push the conversation until real change happens. So write Jimmy, write Carl, write other elders. But I'd be careful to do it behind closed doors 101. Because there's too much silencing going on. Did I say that right? Silencing. There's too much of this. So be careful not to be silenced. We'll come back. If we haven't responded to you, the DMs, the calls, like, we will get around to it. All right. That's it for part 2. See what comes next. We're just kind of riding the wave right now. But until then, we'll holla.